Testing 1, 2, 3. Alrighty, well, here we are again. Except tonight I'm just killing time and filling some stream time. Going to do a little bit of miniature painting. Get some minis painted. Try to get some stuff done up. As much as possible. Just to knock it out. Let's get some folks painted. Alright, well. I've got a bear minus a stand. So does that make it a bear? I don't know. All I know is he needs to be primed because he was only primed on one side last time. And so we need to prime him tonight and get him ready to paint. If there's anybody else that needs to be primed tonight, now is the time to do it. While I have a gob of primer available and a brush already in use for same. So I've done a lot of, just kind of DM studying type stuff this weekend. Did a significant chunk of world building yesterday. If you didn't see Saturday's stream, I suggest you go check it out. It is in our clip library on Twitch. It's also available on Facebook and YouTube. Just do a search for Husky House RPGs. You can find either my Facebook page or my YouTube channel, either one. Fairly easy. But I did a significant amount of world building on my fantasy world map. Did a lot of custom edits yesterday. Did a little bit of the documentation, so to speak, but mainly concentrated on heavy edits to the map to make it to the way I wanted it. And so that turned out, I feel, really well. And there was some great content there and some great discussion on world building as far as terrain and transitioning from one type of terrain to another. One of the things I learned early on was you don't want rough transitions, like you can't go from snow to tropical forest. So, and while random generators are great because they help give you a good starting point, that's an area that they underperform in. Maybe someday AI will solve that problem for us dungeon masters, but that's probably a very low priority in the list of things that AI needs to fix for humanity. So maybe we'll get there, maybe we won't, who knows. So tonight I'm going to paint some minis just to get them done, get them off my desk. So try to get these bears a good coat of gesso primer. The conversation comes up occasionally what paints to use with minis, with resin printers versus FDM. Either one. I'm going to use an acrylic. Alcohol doesn't do as good. Alcohol-based paints and markers. Oils definitely do not do as good because they take forever to dry. If you can get them to dry worth a damn without smudging and smearing. So But acrylics kind of are the way to go. I did buy this lamp recently. This is an Amazon purchase, of course, so that I can get some magnification for finer detail. But since I'm just glopping primer right now, I'm not really using the lamp. It's just kind of really, truthfully, in my way. But I'll move it here soon enough because I'm going to be using it. I've got a couple of figures I want to paint tonight. So we're going to put our primed bears to the side. Here in the back, you see I've got a were-boar, a were-bear, 2 elven fighters. But I think kind of this evening I'm going to focus on some touch-ups now that I got this light and have some good focus. One of the first things I want to do is touch up some Sturges. Pardon me while I shake some paint up to kind of mix it. Give us a little Sturge tan going here, as opposed to a suntan, which is something else. Since this is going to be mostly touch-up work, probably need to use the finest brush I've got, or the smallest brush I got. You know, these magnifiers are great, but when you have an astigmatism, they are a bear. Because they definitely warp my visual field quite a bit. But main thing I'm wanting to do is make sure that there's any glaring amounts of white showing. We get it touched up so it's not so noticeable. Ooh, there's some spots that are going to be fun to reach. Just because the magnifier and my depth perception do not get along. Kind of set those to the back. Get out from under the light for a moment for the stuff that I can see easily with my eyes. Let's put him under the light and see what we got. Okay. need to go ahead and invest in some additional brushes. It's time. I do burn through brushes at an incredible rate. I think anybody that does any miniature painting does. It's kind of part and parcel of the job. Need to get the inside of that arm, that upper arm. Get that white off of there. And I might have better luck with that with this outside of the lamp. Yep, okay. Alright, let's take a look at our purple wing. And yes, I decided to get a little creative with my Sturge coloration. Probably should have chose a heavier brush than this for this, but this will do. Get these guys a little touched up and cleaned up. Some of these spots in here that just from where I got a little excessive when painting last time. Kind of touch them up as best we can. There we go. Halfway through the messy Sturges. Touch up some of that winglet color. Touch it up as best I can to make it look better. You know, as a DM, you're always trying to improve your craft, whether it's your storytelling or your miniature painting skills or your puzzles and traps that you make. You try to be as creative as you can. but you always have room for improvement. That's kind of my mantra is, you know, I just want to be better today than I was yesterday. So I'm constantly looking for things I can do to improve my game, because if I improve the game, it's to everybody's enjoyment, including my own. And you know, a lot of people think it's hard being a DM. It's, you know, it can be at times. The hard part is trying to come up with a good creative idea. Sometimes when I'm having a little blockage, it helps just sit down and do something. You know, like yesterday with mapping my world, it kind of came to me that, you know, how some of my races were going to interact with each other based on their locations, and even coming up with some historical backstory for things in the world based on choices I was making on the map. So, you know, creativity doesn't always come at once. It comes when it comes and when it wants to. But there are definitely things you can do to help jumpstart your creativity. For me, map making definitely is one of those areas that I find helps jumpstart the creativity process for me. Painting miniatures, not so much, but it is, in my mind, very therapeutic, so I enjoy doing it. It's relaxing. It doesn't require a whole lot of thought on my part, other than don't slop that on there. Which, you know, you have to be careful, because you can slop it on there if you're not. This brush is about spent. I don't think cleaning it is going to help it. I think the only thing that is going to help it is death. It's time for it to go to pasture and be replaced by a newer brush. Because it certainly isn't doing any better. Not that my mad painting skills are taxing it, they're just taxing me. You have to pardon me, there was some husky hair attached to this one. That's a household hazard around here when you have 3 Siberians, and we have 2 that are shedding right now, so a shedding husky tends to leave their joyous bundles of fibrous love everywhere in the house. You want clean bedclothes? You know, we wash bedclothes about every 2 weeks, sometimes more frequently, because as the dogs get on the bed, they tend to hair up the bed, and I do not like sleeping in a pile of dog hair. I'm not a dog, so it doesn't do things for me. It's one of those, strip the bed, throw it in the wash, and put some fresh linens on. Alright. One more little Sturge touch-up. This one actually isn't too bad. I only see a couple of little white spots that I want to touch. I see some yellow on the claw where I was doing the wings last and kind of slopped. Okay. I think that does Sturges, and we're going to throw that pen or that brush into the alcohol to do something with it. Let's see, the Grix. The Grix are the Grix, and I'm just not terribly thrilled about them. Where is... I should have a pink in here somewhere. There we go. Flumph pink. Want to do the inside of the Grix mouth just a little bit better. Don't need a whole lot of paint in the tray for this. But I do need... And I bought these silicone nibs for doing really fine detail stuff. I haven't really put them to use yet, so as the Starfish in Finding Nemo says, today's the day. Okay, that helps tremendously with his mouth. Let's do number 2. I think we need more paint on the nib. We might need some magnification on this one. Let me see. I think that's good. Number 3. I have a Grick that was bought in my collection, but I wanted a few more Gricks in the collection, so I 3D printed a few. That's, I'll tell you right now, probably your best investment as a DM is if you're using minis, is to get yourself a 3D printer. Go out to My Mini Factory or Thingiverse and search for what minis you want to print. You will print minis far cheaper than you can purchase them. And I mean, you're purchasing unpainted minis, so you've got to paint them anyways. But why pay $5, $6, $7 for a mini? Or, you know, goodness gracious, I've seen some here in town for a single mini's $13 or $14. I can 3D print that same mini for, you know, a fraction of that. I mean, we're talking 5 cents. Spend the money on paint and brushes rather than spending it on miniatures. Get yourself a good 3D printer and go to town. Okay, Cobalt Red, which I don't think I got out, so I'm kind of looking for it. Crimson, Pixie Dust Pink, Dragonfire Red, Cobalt Red. I need to touch up my cobalt a little bit. Is this a job for a nib or is this a job for a brush? This one I'm actually kind of satisfied with. He has a couple of spots that might need a little bit of touching up. Let's see, most of my nibs are wedges except for that one. So I'm thinking pointy brush. Pointy brush, pointy brush. See, that's more of a deep ochre than it is a red. Winged kobolds are a menace. Kobolds in general are a menace, but winged kobolds are an even bigger general menace. Okay. cobalt red paint is probably due to be replaced by the looks of it. It seems like the color is failing on it. That's one thing, you can't keep paints forever, you've got to change them out. Okay, let's throw that brush over there. Let's look at my grung. I'm really kind of happy with the little guy. Let's get him under the light and look at him. I see some white in his leather jerkin and some touch up around his collar that needs to be done. And I'm trying to think what color I used for him. Of those two, I'm going to say very possibly I used the Minotaur hide to do his coloration. Let's mix the paint a little more, and then we're going to touch him up. Get us a little droplet going on here. It doesn't take much. If you squeeze too much paint out, you can't stuff it back into the bottle. So squeeze less and then just refill more is kind of the motto. That way you're not wasting so much paint. Yep, nope, wasn't that color, because that is more of a reddish brown. Okay, so let's go with rigid leather. Fix it. Some of these. I am getting an excessive amount of this brown out because it looks like the paint had started to separate. I think that's what was going on with my cobalt red. So squeeze more out and mix it on the tray. Yes, I think that was better. Alright, well, I think he is good. I would say golden, but he's not. Now, I think this one is going to be my wizard. What we need to determine is what she's holding in her hand. It looks like some type of flower. Her staff, I'm seeing some white on, too much white on, so let's get some of this leather, brown leather on here to touch up her staff. Question is what does she have decorating the staff? Is it just gnarled roots or is it something more? Let's take a look at the other one because she has a staff too, very similar. Let's just get all the brown out of the way at once. That way we can switch paints up here and not have to worry about dirtying another brush. The brush economy, it's a thing. you're going to need more than one brush. I don't care what you're painting. The more brushes you have, the better, because you can paint uninterrupted. She's wearing a cloak that's like an underdark stone color, and she definitely needs some touch up. I'm seeing a lot of white, and then we need to fix the brim of her hat. So let's break out some underdark gray. Get that mixed good. Let's see if we can fix her up. I'm going to just tackle that brim of that hat first. Hopefully this was not a mixed color. I do tend to, mix colors once in a while. And it looks like it was. Well, we guessed wrong. We get to do it again. Dungeon Stone. I should have a third paint tray around here somewhere. I've got 2 out. Number 3 appears to be missing. It's definitely time to order some brushes. And replace some paints. Okay, that fixed the brim of her hat. On the back side, now on the front side, and we will let that coloration dry because we're going to come back and do her flower. I do not have enough paint on my brush to effectively dot that. There we go. Knee looks good on that side. Knee looks like it needs some love on this side. Okay. Need some touch up around her armpit. There we go. Let's touch the underside of that brim. Okay, she needs some love on her plum colored body. And it's about time for me to clean some brushes. And you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to bring in a paper towel. And got plenty of places we need to touch up on the staff yet, now that I've got it under the magnifier. tip of her staff has got some excess paint on it. Okay. All right. Let me go get something to clean some brushes with. Do I have anything really fine pointed? I do. I want to put a okay, so the brim of her hat is good. Let me get a paper towel so I can clean some brushes. Let me swirl these up a little bit to get the paint off. I've already told the story once about the brush cleaner from Hobby Lobby that was like $8 a bottle, but it bears repeating. With acrylic paints, don't waste your money. It didn't do, and this was bought in the acrylics paint section, so you would think, hey, this will work with acrylic paint and help clean brushes and make them easier to maintain. Nah, don't bother. Go get yourself a good bottle of isopropyl alcohol from the pharmacy. You'll spend less money and be less frustrated that way. Oh, we have a pup in the room with us too. He has crashed over here behind me to sleep. Well, he's not asleep, but he's laid out. So. Okay. Clean brushes. Don't try to clean them all at once. It's okay to swirl them around in the cleaning solution, but wiping them, nah. You grab 8 brushes and try to wipe them, you're just going to have wet, sloppy brushes that you're going to be dipping into your paint that are going to just make a mess and irritate the hell out of you. So save yourself the heartache and just, it's okay to wash them as a group, but when it comes to wiping them, you'll do yourself a favor if you just do no more than 2 at a time, wiping them down. Like right now, there's 3 in my cup. I'm tempted to do all 3. Don't let it get the better of you. Don't do it. Okay, there should be, yeah, that's my silicone nib that I used. I'm going to use him to do the flowers on her hat. There's a flower in the hand of my other grung. So I'm going to do that. I think this flower is going to be done in turquoise for this one. At least that's the color I picked out and sat out. I'll put my brushes over here. Try not to let them escape the table. Ooh, that turquoise is... I don't know that has this one ever been used? It says Merfolk Turquoise. I've painted some Merfolk. Whether I painted them Merfolk Turquoise or not remains to be seen. I have to get into the storage box and look. That's the biggest problem I have with miniatures is storage. I'd love to have them all out to display, but invariably they're going to get dusty. In this house, they're going to get coated with husky hair. So, really not practical. So, would love to have a display case, but having a display case that houses miniatures when, okay, you have small, medium, large, huge, gargantuan, you need, is that one display case that's trying to do everything, or is that two or three display cases trying to do that? So for the time being, I'm just using the Feldherr storage cases. I can remove sections of the foam to kind of expand some of the storage cells to make them handle larger miniatures. It's not perfect. And that's not working under the magnifier. It's just a combination of my eyesight and the magnification fighting each other. Okay. Let's do I targeted the smaller flower in her bonnet, hat, whatever you want to call this. It's almost like a wizard's hat. So I'm treating this Chica as kind of like my druid character. A grung druid is a natural fit. Oh, that was a dad joke. That was a dad joke if there was ever a dad joke told during this stream. I'm sure I will tell plenty of dad jokes given enough time. Okay. Now she has on her person a pouch. And I would love to do that pouch in a different color, along with the belt that holds it a different color. I'm also looking at her plumb little arms and what a hatchet job I did with her right hand being positioned up against her torso, and that needs to be tweaked. So I think I'm going to focus on that hand first. I bought the WizKid paint sets because they were convenient, but they're really small bottles. They're difficult to mix by shaking, especially as they've aged. So I'll probably be going with more traditional miniature paints in the future. Oh, we have a pup. Hi, Mama. Are you coming to see what your daddy's doing? Huh? Are you coming to see what your daddy's doing? I'm a pretty girl. Yeah, daddy's girl. What is the brush I have with the most finesse that I can do this hand with? And of course I'm nervous, so I'm shaking. Ha 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 ha. And that's not the right color by the looks of it. She might be getting a do-over in this plum color. And you know what? I'm perfectly fine with that. Uh-oh. we have some wrestling going on outside of my studio door. Carmen and Rocky, cut it out. And I just dropped the brush. Wow, the singing has commenced. She's left Rocky alone, and now she's aggravating Sam, which is making Sam sing. And then she wants to howl. Welcome to life with a husky. I've got one who's nonverbal. I mean, the only time he is verbal is when he wants his sister to leave him alone. He'll yap at her. That's what you heard a few minutes ago when she came in here to try to start something with him. He's like, nope, woman, leave me alone. So she decided she would go aggravate Sam. And the end result is you hear the singing. Okay, so we've kind of redone her with the plum, and I like the results a little bit better, just because maybe I did a better job this time. Who knows? We need to touch up that hand. Although having it a little bit of a different shade isn't going to hurt. The hard part that's going to be to touch up is going to be her face. Because I've already done her eyes. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give her just a slightest touch up to her face. In order to preserve the prior detail. Okay, I'm happy with that. I think now I want to focus on that belt and satchel. And I think this brush has worked well for fine detail, so we're going to just clean it real quick. And I'm going to use it to do the belt. I may use it to do the satchel as well, but I want to do a different color for the satchel. I want a lighter tannish brown color if I've got one that I can choose from. Oh, I've got, no, that's a gold. I've got Sturge Tan, of course, but that's got a lot of a pink tint to it. I want something different than that. Zombie Flesh is not the color to choose. Let's go with that's a bronze. I'm gonna say, is that burnt sienna? That's what it says. That's what we're going to use to do the satchel. But first, let's get this belt. Problem is I need a little more paint on the brush, but I don't want to put too much paint on the brush. And then just glob it on there, because then we're just going to have to go back and fix it. And that's what happened. So her belt band just basically went blut all over the place. Well, we'll come back and fix it. Let's clean this brush, and then let's do that satchel. I am by no means a professional mini painter, and my players have often told me that they're perfectly fine playing with unpainted minis whenever we're playing face to face. They just are appreciative of the fact that we have minis to play with. But being a selective perfectionist, not an entire perfectionist, I do tend to want to do things up a little more than unpainted miniatures. But at the same time, I also know the limits of my own capabilities. So I'm not going to go to town and use 16 different colors on a miniature. 4, 5 colors tops. You can call me the 8-bit miniature king, because 8-bit games back in the day had limited color palettes. That's me. I will own it. Okay. I will own it proudly. The hairs on this brush are really beginning to separate, indicating that this is another brush that his time here is almost done. Alright, we need to touch up some gray where we've made a mess around that with the brown. her satchel colored the way I want it. I'm going to call her officially done. Alright, let's take a look at our little yellow grung. And yes, I wanted some different color grung because I've painted plenty of green grung, but I wanted something a little unique. And so a reddish colored grung, or in this case plum. It started out as reddish and ended as plum. Seemed like a good fit. And then my yellow grung, just to mix it up a little bit. Okay, I'm running into my own lamp here. Mr. I have no depth perception. Even with my glasses on, there's only so much they can correct. Her eyes were supposed to be red. They don't look very red. They look messy. And no paint on the tip of the brush is not helping. Okay. I think we can call her done. So, done with the grung. Alright, so I have two Reapers I would like to paint tonight. These guys were a lot of fun in combat. And I definitely used Underdark with them, so white teeth, even though their teeth are stone. But let's get happy with the Underdark gray and at least get a coat down on them. Bad boys. So let's get their stone color going. Get these bad boys painted. So my players freed an albino lizard in a dungeon, and they nicknamed it Lizzie McGuire just because they like to be ridiculous about things. And they had hoped to catch Lizzie McGuire and make it a pet. But later on in the dungeon, when they caught up with Lizzie McGuire had been captured by some ropers hanging on the ceiling and was already dead and being consumed. The end result was the party leader took it badly and reacted emotionally and went straight into combat without thinking about it. And they had one player down, actually dead, and another unconscious when they realized they were definitely outgunned, and they had to fall back and pay to have one character resurrected and revivify another. So I had great fun with it as a DM. They weren't too happy about the catastrophe that the encounter became, but it was entertaining. But now they are still trying to acquire a pet. I think that all stems from the Lizzie McGuire incident. I'll let them work their way up to it, but you know, clerics aren't supposed to have pets. Party leaders are clerics, so if you want a familiar, you should have been a wizard. So, we'll see how it goes. Right now, they are playing in the Land of Chult in the Tomb of Annihilation campaign setting. And they've just managed to finagle their way into owning a ship that they captured as part of an anti-pirate operation sponsored by the merchant princes of Port Nyanzu. So their ship is in dry dock because, being a pirate ship, it wasn't exactly being very well maintained. So we'll see what that's going to cost. I'll have to make up some reasons and some numbers as a DM to separate them from their hard-earned gold from the last few adventures. The joys of being a dungeon master. But now they've kind of gotten the bug where party leader wants to go after the remaining pirate vessels. Are we trying to turn into Acquisitions Incorporated while the DM is not looking? I don't know. I'm slowly bringing them back around to focus on the mission at hand, because they were paid to get down here and find and destroy the Soulmonger. And instead they've been playing chase pirates and be the local constabulary to that end. So, time to get back on track and focus on what they're supposed to do. I'm sure we'll have some side quests along the way. Just time to focus, though. Alright, so we got a good base coat going on this roper. Tell you what, I will get, because these are extra ropers. I already have two, but I had so much fun with them that I decided to paint a few more. Well, I had already printed them, truthfully, so it's why not paint it if you've already printed it. I will get them down and show them off here in the stream in a little bit. But I had such fun with the ropers as a DM. For kicks and giggles, they were named Frick and Frack. So, Frick and Frack ate Lizzie McGuire and upset the party leader, and damn near led the entire group into a TPK. But that's okay. I spun off the resurrection of their paladin as imperfect for two reasons. One, they used the wrong gemstone, for the resurrection. So of a diamond, they used a ruby. I let it slide because the ruby was equal value to the diamond. But their paladin is now suffering the effects of the Soulmonger from Tomb of Annihilation. So other than the fact that they have a benefactor paying them to seek out and destroy this mysterious artifact that is slowly killing off anybody who's ever been resurrected, they have a personal reason for doing so. And of course the party cleric's like, he can't die until I get my money's worth out of him. I paid for his resurrection. Well, technically you did not. Technically the party paid for his resurrection. But, okay, whatever you want to think. So we'll play with it. Some days it's not my job to correct what the players think. Some days it's just my job to run with it and have fun. Alright, so that is what, well, that's horrible lighting. I guess I got to get down here. What our fellow looks like so far. We need to do his tongue, his teeth, and his eye. I'm going to go ahead and tackle number 2 before we do tongue, teeth, and eye on this guy. I'm going to need to get some more paint out because we're getting a little thin in the tray. Okay. That'll be roper number 3. This will be roper number 4. Let me grab a finished roper. These are one of the few minis I do leave out for routine play. And so this is the finished roper. And maybe I can get some more light on him. And so that was what they faced off against last go round. Last series of adventures. Okay. Let's get roper number 4 painted. I don't know that I'm going to paint elven fighters tonight because we're already pretty far into this. I think we will save them to paint next weekend. Maybe I'll do another Sunday stream and do some more painting. It's relaxing. I don't mind doing it. Let's get this up out of the way. I actually do not need this in my way right now. So we'll move it back out of the way. Let's focus on... Let's get... I tell you what I am going to do is I'm going to give myself more light on the area I am painting. There we go. That way you can see better. Let's flex this around here. Okay, let us get this base going. I love these tentacles on these ropers. The fact that they can regenerate them so rapidly caused my players no end of anguish in combat. You know, it's not my job to, it's not me against the players. It's just in combat situations, it's the roll of the dice, right? And, you know, but it's fun to see how certain combats go. You know, I'm not trying to kill my players. Now, sometimes their decisions have consequences. And sometimes just random dice rolls have consequences. That's the nature of the game. But I love building it up. So, you know, the homebrew world setting is coming along. I'm getting some story and some history, and it's getting fleshed out. I intend to take as much time as possible, or I won't say as possible, but as much time as I need to work on getting it as detailed as possible without making it overbearing for me or just an information overload for them. So I think at some point, well, I think at some point, I think after the campaign in Chult is over for Tomb of Annihilation, I think it's time to get them off of Faerun, the Forgotten Realms, and get them into my homebrew world. So it needs to be fleshed out because, you know, within however many sessions, considering we're playing typically twice a month in that setting, you know, probably another 3 months or so, it'll be time for them to be finished with that game and ready to move on. Well, it's time to get them into the homebrew world and start using the homebrew world. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully they are too. So we'll get that. That's kind of in the works. I've even kind of got a story hook as to how it happens. I think, you know, now that they've got a ship, maybe a incident with a whirlpool at sea catapults them into a alternate world on the prime material plane. I think that's my story, and I'm sticking with it as a DM. We'll see. We'll see. I might come up with something different. You know, it all depends on how the game goes. They are right now around 8th and 9th level. So they're coming into the Tomb of Annihilation already fairly high level. But that's okay. I just have to adjust the encounter strength to compensate. Make things a little tougher. And it's okay if some stuff is easier. They just don't get as much experience points for it. So, okay. That is 2 ropers. I think now we're going to work on tongue, teeth, and eyes. Well, tongue and eyes are easy. They're red. Teeth are white. We're going to do them last, because otherwise I'm going to end up slopping red paint on teeth just to get it done. So, let's get our other tray out. Get some red paint out here. Shake it up good. Get this rocking and rolling. Alright. Let's grab the one that's drier. Alright. That's a nice bright red dot for an eye. Well, almost a red dot. There we go. See, I told you I was going to glop red paint on teeth. It was a given. We'll have to fix that, and that's okay. Let's do this other eye. Alright, we're going to put some black outline around the eye, because that's what I did on the other ones. But let's let that dry a little bit. I think teeth, we want some white paint. Lawful white, as WizKids calls it. But I've got a spot that I really kind of glopped on his jawline that I need to fix that before we do anything with Rocky's trying to get me to rub his belly. He's belly up beside me right now. Okay. And where do husky hairs come from with me just sitting here? I mean, seriously. Alright. Let's do some black outline around the eye. Now, I'm not going to attempt to do that with a paintbrush. We're going to do that with an acrylic paint marker. He is still very, very wet. I'm going to let him dry a little more. Let's do some teeth. Let's do some teeth on the first guy while guy number 2 dries. Now I tried fairly successfully not to get paint on the teeth of this first one. There is a paintbrush hair sticking out on this paintbrush that makes it a bad choice for doing this kind of detail. Let me see if maybe I can glop it back in with some excess paint. May have to do some touch up around the mouth on this guy, but that's okay. touch up is touch up. I can do that. Alright. Yeah, he's just going to need some touch up around the mouth. This guy, on the other hand, I got paint everywhere when I did his teeth, around his mouth. Let's try to fix him. Yeah, we're making a mess there. Okay, we'll touch him up next paint session. Alright, I still need to get the detail around the eye on this one. And he does have a little excess of white showing on some tentacles. So let's fix that tentacle first. Get that little touch up going. If I can do it today without smearing paints around, then I'll do it today. If not, then there's always next time. It's the reason I take a couple of weeks to get minis ready, if I have time. Alright, since we're out with this brush and this color, let's take a look at the other tentacles. He's good. Let's not worry about him. I want to see if I can get close in around this jawline. There we go. That kind of fixes him up. Let's revisit this guy. I have some jawline touch up I need to do. It looks like it. Okay. Yep, I think all we need to do for him is the outline around the eye, and we can call him done. And the only thing I don't like about these markers is, unlike a paint bottle that I can shake, I really can't shake these and do anything effective with it. But it is what it is. Let's see if I can get his guy liner done. Or who knows, maybe it's a female roper, if such thing exists. 2 ropers. So I guess I'm going to call it quits for painting tonight. That's an hour and a half easy painting time. Appreciate you joining me this evening. Maybe you picked up a tip or two, or a little bit of DM knowledge nuggets, but be that as it may. I don't know. Maybe I need to do these 2 bears while I still have some brown paint sitting here. That paint started to set up in the tray. Yes. Okay, well, let's see. So let's do something here just to do. And then after we get the bears done, we'll wrap up the stream for the evening. And hopefully see you next time. I guess these are going to be brown bears. I think we need a little more paint in the tray. If I want to get the bears done. The bears need stands printed is what they need. I don't think we're going to get the whole bear done just because since he's not on a stand, I can't really do both sides of him tonight. The best I can do is half a bear. It's my final offer. Pawn Stars for Dungeon Masters. Half a bear butt as opposed to all of a bear butt. There we go. That's a half a bear. This is not your mother's Build-A-Bear workshop. More dad jokes, huh? I'm sorry. No, I'm not. Not in the slightest. Let's at least get the head done completely. I know it won't rest on the table. That inside of that leg, maybe as much of this back leg as I can. Paint will wash off of me. I'm not the least bit worried about it on me. Alright, half a bear. Half a bear. Okay. So I think that pretty much wraps us up for the evening. Appreciate you tuning in. As always, if you enjoyed our time together this evening, hit that follow button, turn those notifications on, so next time I'm streaming you'll get a notification. And hopefully we'll get to see you next time. Next time we'll finish the bears, start the elven fighters, and then I have a couple more miniatures. 2 elf clerics, 2 more elf fighters. So I got like 4 elven fighters. Oh, we have a gag mini. This was going to end up being a paladin's mount. It was a My Little Pony mini that I bought just for laughs. That was going to be a paladin's summoned mount. So anyways, thanks for joining. Hopefully we'll see you next time, and have a good rest of your evening.